Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Alexa Developer Office Hours. It's great to be on the show again today. Happy Tuesday. Hope things are going well with everybody in your neck of the woods. Hi from Boston. Hi, Brian. How you doing? Hi, Andy. How you guys doing? How's everybody's having a good noon for us, noon for those of us on the East Coast, morning for those of you on the West Coast. Hope it's great to see everybody again today. Hope summer's going well for some folks. I know it's super duper hot, like all over the country right now. So hang in there. It's not so bad here today for me, but I know that some folks are really feeling the heat. So first of all, I'd like to say today on our show, we're going to have a special guest. It's my fellow evangelist who works in the enterprise and devices space, Emerson Sklar. And he's going to talk to us a little bit about his journey, how he ended up working with Alexa, and some of the projects that they're working on over in the enterprise space, which is really, really exciting. There's some cool footage to share. I'm really happy to show that off. I also want to do a quick plug for our YouTube channel. I'm going to put it on the screen down here. As you probably know, we've been uploading videos highlighting some of our successful developers, skill developers throughout the world. And that's under our new series, which is called Devs and Coffee. So 4 of those videos are up right now. There might be more in the future, but be sure to check out the ones that we have posted. Or is it 4 or is it 3? I want to check myself and make sure we've got a bunch of really, really cool highlights of folks. Actually, if I can link directly to the Devs and Coffee series, that would be the most fun. Yeah, we actually have all 4 of those videos up right now. So do check that out. It's under the videos tab. If you happen to check out our YouTube, you're going to see some really cool interviews with me and some developers that we're talking to about how their skills journeys are going. That's just another way we want to like spotlight all the developers that we have working on different skills out there. We also have done a tech talk recently. If you were watching the office hours when we had Sid on a couple weeks ago, we're talking about ISP and monetization. There's also a tech talk now about ISP monetization. If you want to share, if you want to see a little bit more of what our monetization team has to share, I'm going to post that actually in the chat so you can click directly on that. Check it out if you have any questions about how you can use in-skill purchasing to make a more profitable business for you. If you happen to be interested in doing any in-skill purchasing or monetization with your skill, there's going to be a lot of great tips there. And a reminder that you can do one-on-one consultations with our skills teams and find out the best way to monetize your specific skills. So if you're interested in that, please take a look at that ISP talk. Really, really cool information for those of you that are doing like a home business. And now with that, I'm going to go ahead and bring our guest on for today. Hi, Emerson.
Good morning, everybody.
Good to have you on the show. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, excited to be here.
So let's just get right to you. Tell me a little bit about yourself and why I'm having you on the show today. So you joined Alexa not too long after I did.
Yeah, it's August will be a year, although I like to say that I've been Alexa adjacent for quite some time.
And what was your journey? How did you get started in voice and what brought you to Alexa? You actually worked on the other side of the fence for a little while.
Yeah. So I've been doing voice work since about 2015. At that point, I was working for a company called Applause. Applause is the global leader in crowdsourced testing, as well as data collection for training AI models. And at that point, we were actually working hand in hand with Alexa quite a bit to help build out new language models and train up 1P functionality, first-party functionality, as they launched into new markets all over the world. And I started there leading the Applause, what at that point initially was just the AI practice, morphed into AI and specifically voice practice. And so got a lot of really like interesting hands-on experience seeing how the secret sauce is made, right? Like seeing how Amazon goes about building this product that we all know and love. Got to meet tons of the awesome people across the community through events and then through just direct working relationships. Got to work with a lot of mutual customers, people that are both Alexa and were Applause customers. And so I spent 5 years at Applause. Took a little break in the middle. Actually, spent about 2.5 years helping to run a company called Bespoken that is the leader in automated testing for conversational experiences. And so that was super interesting then seeing, with versus the applause, which is the sort of human aspect of interacting with conversational AI. This was, the automated aspect. We like to say that it was sort of robots talking to robots. And so really fascinating to have some of the more hands-on kind of deep technical interaction with skills and device builders.
That's so cool. Can I
Yeah,
ask
and
about robots talking to robots? I'm so curious about that. What's that like? Is it faster? It's got to be very different.
yeah, super different. So we actually used one of the Alexa voice service devices SDK. So the same way that somebody, if they wanted to build their own device, right, they wanted to make a new sound bar or a new hearable or wearable or something that has Alexa built into it. We leveraged some of those same libraries, but had them as virtual devices, ones that exist purely in the cloud. So we could stand up hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of them, all interacting and hitting the Alexa voice service simultaneously, and doing so leveraging the same kind of benefits and best practices that you get with traditional software automation. So, the reliability, repeatability, the efficiency and reduced cost from having those. And what we saw was there were a lot of that worked great for people who were building skills, but there were a lot of customers that were building their own devices for whom the sort of software only or the cloud only approach was not really suitable. And so we designed these devices that we called test robots, or Spoken is based out of Peru, and the mascot was a llama, so we also called them robo
Oh my
llamas.
gosh, adorable.
And so we built these devices that were in soundproof containers that could actually talk to a voice-enabled device. And it had microphones that would record the audio, cameras that would record and capture if there was a screen, and then use a bunch of predominantly AWS services to analyze that, and again, sort of provide that same level of automation capability for physical devices as well.
Wow. Yeah, I've always curious about the hardware world because I've spent all my time in software. I did like a very brief foray into like Internet of Things, and I was learning how to put stuff on Raspberry Pis and make like
Oh yeah.
3D printed devices and stuff like that. So I gotta assume it's very similar, right? Like you're kind of developing the circuit that you're going to use to talk to whatever it is.
You can, although what's really neat is that AVS, the Alexa voice service, provides a bunch of really, really easy ways to get started. So there are companies. Think about like if I was Bose or Sonos, somebody, right? Somebody who has that deep hardware engineering expertise, already has the kind of microphone expertise and the mics built into their devices. Somebody like that can probably develop their own chips and figure out how it works. But for many companies, they're not speech recognition companies. They don't necessarily want to go through the headache of building their own chips, of figuring out how to connect it to the off-the-shelf devices they're already using, of figuring out what kind of AWS infrastructure they need to stand up and host to do all of that. And so AVS provides a bunch of really simple, low-cost or free ways to do that. So they have something called the Alexa Connect Kit, which is a chipset that already has already has the integration to the Alexa voice service built in, that you can plug into your Raspberry Pi, or you can plug into your Arduino or kind of whatever else, and then just have it work automatically. You can run the AVS device SDK on a Raspberry Pi. And
very cool. Very cool.
I have hundreds of Raspberry Pis in the house.
I was going to say, I could have a good half dozen, I think, Raspberry Pis, and I'm not even really a Pi person, but it just kind of is one of those things you accumulate because you're trying new things and you want to do some weird hack. And it's really common to build these little devices, I think, for some of us tinkerers.
Yeah, and yeah, I recommend anybody who hasn't tried playing around with the devices to do it, because it's surprisingly doable, even if you're not a hardware engineer. We publish lots of information online about it. certainly reach out to me or to other folks if you have any questions. But it's very fun and gives you a lot of kind of insight into how the devices themselves, actually work and function, how that interaction with the Alexa voice service, with the cloud that powers all of the Alexa interaction, how it actually works.
Really cool. I'm seeing some love in the chat for Bespoken Robo Llama. So Robo Llama was popular, right?
The Robo Llama was fun. Yeah, a fun, I guess, little anecdote. Robo Llama's one of the key components was a Raspberry Pi, and
Okay, yeah.
uh, this was during the pandemic. I do obviously a lot of shopping on Amazon.com anyway, but was doing way more shopping at that point, and it got to the point where Alexa would start recognizing and recommending, hey, it's been a while since you've purchased these 10 pieces of hardware that you need to build a RoboLlama. Do you want to, we think it's about time to reorder. And it got so accurate with that recommendation to reorder that we knew that we would need to reorder the parts now to be able to have them shipped, to build one of the devices, and then have it ready in time for a new customer, a new user to say, hey, we want to use one of these devices. It was really, really amazing, because when people think about the reordering, they think of consumables, they think of toilet paper and paper towels and stuff. You don't think of some of those other kind of key components that a business might need.
Yeah.
And yeah, amazing how accurate it was.
That's really cool. It's really cool. So let's talk about what you're working on these days. How did you transition over to Amazon, like you said, about a year ago? What are you working with right now? What's your role at the company? And I know you can't talk about everything you're doing because there's always NDAs and stuff involved, but maybe there's a lot of stuff that you can talk about.
Yeah, so for the folks that know me, for all of our voice friends, me coming over to this role should be no surprise. I remember fondly interactions that I had with Jeff Blankenberg, with Dave Isbitsky before Jeff, very early on in my voice career, that really made a big impact and inspired me to want to be able to make that impact on the community and on the partners that are using the technology. And what we've seen, and sort of where my role fits in, what we've seen is that there is a need for education, for evangelism, for having partner outreach, for engagement with this very, very large and very broad part of both the Amazon business as well as the kind of broader tech community that is the enterprise world. And I've spent my whole career in enterprise solution architecture and enterprise evangelism, and so it was a very natural fit to interact with those types of companies. But like you spending most of your time on the skills business, I mean, I had besides working with Alexa on some of the hardware and with a few select partners, had spent a lot of time working on skills as well. And so it was really fascinating, both learning, really studying and educating myself on that business, and then figuring out like where are those gaps. And so I think there is before I came to Amazon, if you had asked me what's included in the Alexa enterprise portfolio, I wouldn't have known. I mean, I could have made a guess, but but I wouldn't have had a real understanding of the different ways that Alexa supports enterprise businesses versus just sort of the skills and just the Alexa voice service devices kind of part of the business.
Yeah, there are some that are obvious. Like, of course, we have had the Hey Disney rollout, which has been really cool and neat. I currently have my Alexa in the kitchen set up to the Barbie theme.
Which is awesome. Yeah, the Barbie theme is great.
I love the Barbie theme. But I know there's a lot of other things that are a little bit more surprising. Maybe you wouldn't realize that they're doing Alexa integration.
Yeah, let's see if I can share my screen here.
Yeah, you've got some slides to share. Do you want to go ahead and talk? You came so prepared. You have all these cool slides. So Emerson's going to talk a little bit about, I think, the enterprise business and what all there is. They're a perfect list of stuff. Yeah, there's so many things.
Yeah. So folks out there, and curious your perspectives as well. Typically beforehand, when I would think about Alexa, I mean, certainly think about the Alexa skills, which is the most known part of the business, I guess. And we have over 1 million people that are building, 1 million developers, brands, and builders that are working with either Alexa skills or with the Alexa voice service. So again, companies like LG and Samsung making TVs, or Sonos making speakers. Um, Companies, we'll talk about some of the auto companies, the companies that are building in Alexa Auto into their automobiles. But then there's the Alexa smart home as well, and we work with it's 130,000 connected smart home devices today, and lots of different form factors. I mean, I have some lights behind me that work with Alexa, but things like smart locks, security systems, humidifiers, air conditioners. Printers. I've got a printer over there that I can print things with Alexa. But then we have two massive and less known, I think, components of Alexa in Alexa Custom Assistant and Alexa Smart Properties. So if I think about Alexa Custom Assistant, you mentioned Disney earlier. Disney is a great example. Disney actually is Alexa Custom Assistant and Alexa Smart Properties, so a good example for both. But Alexa Custom Assistant, or ACA as we know it internally, is a way for a brand to develop their own custom assistant without the heavy lifting. They don't have to go and build it from scratch. They can still leverage the technology, the best practices, the engineering expertise that Amazon has, but then they get a custom personality, which includes a custom wake word. So Disney, it's Hey Disney. They get custom voices as well, very critical for some brands. I mean, think about State Farm. That's not an ACA customer today, but that commercial with the guy who says, you're in good hands. Like something like that. That sonic branding is critical to certain brands. They get custom capabilities, things that are not possible with just developing a skill, things that are otherwise typically reserved for first-party functionality. Interaction with certain of the Alexa first-party domains, name-free invocation, automatic routing to specific skills. And then it can be custom tailored to whatever the journey looks like. And that journey is very different depending on the particular customer. And what's cool is that on all these devices, or with all these integrations today, that brand's custom assistant lives alongside Alexa. And so imagine Disney, for example. Disney probably doesn't want Mickey and Minnie Mouse giving stock advice.
Right. Yeah.
They, that's like, maybe they do, but like, it's not critical to their brand. It's not something that their users are really gonna care about. And so something like that could be handled by Alexa.
At the very least, get Scrooge McDuck to give the stock advice.
Actually, that's true. That's true. I should
just match the characters to what they do, right? No, that makes a lot of sense. So imagine, like, to use like a neutral example, you're going to a restaurant, and it's a themed restaurant, like it's a pirate restaurant, and you order your food from a kiosk, and it has a completely different voice. It doesn't sound like Alexa. It doesn't act like Alexa. It talks like a pirate captain, or maybe it's still in Disney, because they certainly have that as well in Disney. Yep. But that could still be Alexa under the hood.
Exactly. And could still have, then, because people are, Alexa at this point is synonymous with a voice assistant. Right. Excuse me. People have an understanding of like how to interact with it, of what its capabilities are. So they can still interact with it conversationally. They can still get all the benefits that they might want with Alexa, just with all of these kind of added custom benefits that represent their own assistant, represent their own brand.
Really cool.
And I actually have, I'm going to, let's see if I can
switch to the video.
Yeah, I have a really neat video that I wanted to show. So I was a few weeks ago, I was in Porto in Portugal. working with
Cool.
BMW and Critical Tech Works, which is a joint partnership that they did with government on for their new in-car driver assistant experience. And I have just a brief clip here. We'll share a link to the full Innovator Series video. We were there for a week. It was well, I'll show the video then.
I'll put that in the chat right now. That's the top video there that you shared, right? The YouTube. Cool. And if you can get that on the screen.
Technology to drive emotions for their car. How Alexa Custom Assistant is built helped us to build a product roadmap that was customer oriented from the get-go.
It's a key enabler of time to market.
How does Alexa Custom Assistant help on this broad innovation journey?
It's you. So the full episode is online now. I think that's the link I just shared.
It is. Yeah. The full episode's about 6 minutes or so. But it was amazing hearing directly from the people who are living it every day, what it's like both to select Alexa and Alexa Custom Experience to represent their brand, be able to partner with the internal Amazon teams to develop this technology. BMW certainly has a strong brand reputation. And they
I think I have a Hey Disney demo that you linked me to if I want to share that one in the chat so people can see how that one works.
Yeah. And so BMW has this really strong brand reputation. They have a really strong brand identity, and the customizability that Alexa Custom Assistant gives them lets them represent that in their car, driving it, making it the next generation of the ultimate driving machine. And that one is just in the car. Cars have not hit the market yet. So stay tuned if you guys are in the market for buying a new BMW. But yeah, like Disney, anybody today, Hey Disney started out just in the Disney World Resort properties. And as of about 2 weeks ago, you can now enable Hey Disney on your Echo device at home. And so you can bring that magic back home. You can talk to, they have more than 20 Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, more than 20 characters that you can talk to. You can have them tell stories and play games, and then do simple things like setting the weather and have Goofy tell you, or checking the weather and have Goofy tell you, oh, it's going to be rainy today or something. It's super neat stuff.
Do feel like those custom voices, like hearing from different voices, is just a really cool idea. It's a really fun idea, and I'd love to see more of that integration going on for lots of folks.
Yeah, and it any kind of enterprise solution, right? People want to, businesses want to figure out what the impact is to them, and so we think about it kind of in three ways. One is certainly building the brand, increasing a customer's engagement with your organization, making it so that it's regular, daily, habitual usage instead of Disney, for example, might be the once a year or once every couple of years that I go to the park. Certainly things like reducing cost. Imagine if I'm driving my BMW and I get a check engine light, and I don't have one of the OBD2 little scanners, so I don't know what the check engine light means. I might then call the dealership, and I might have to take it in and have them check, and it takes half an hour of somebody's time, only to find out that it's time for me to get an oil change, or I left the gas cap slightly ajar, and so it's throwing a code or something. Those things take real time, and especially scaled over the size of an enterprise, costs a significant amount of money. Right. And so this can streamline some of that customer interaction. And then it can do really interesting things like providing opportunities to generate new revenue, upselling new devices or new services or capabilities that you might have. If I'm Disney, for example, and I'm sitting in the hotel room and I want to make sure that that I book a restaurant reservation, or I'm sitting at home and I'm going to the park in a few weeks and I want to upgrade my room or something. Being able to do that in a kind of inobtrusive, natural conversational way is super impactful.
Yeah, just like you would talk to, an attendant on the phone or something. Only it'd be a lot more quick to do it through the device, actually, because then you get that
Oh, yeah.
feedback. Yeah, cool. We have a question in the chat. I think this might be about the BMW video on Twitch. What's a motion mark? I don't know. Is that something from the BMW video? Can you clarify what you mean, where you saw motion mark? Because I don't know the answer to that question either. Maybe it's something inside the BMW video that we didn't notice. I don't know.
Yeah, so
Done with trademark. Oh, it's the trademark. Yeah, it's probably one of our trademarks then.
Oh, okay. Yeah, some perhaps the rotating Alexa icon.
Yeah. If you want to know anything about like Alexa logo usage, I've done some graphic design, so I'm pretty versed in that. All of that's on our website, because like if you happen to be a skill developer and you want to use the Alexa logo in your like branding or advertising or whatever, you actually can. There's just rules around like white space and how you can place it and how you can print it and everything like that. So because we want to be sure that people like know if something works with Alexa, there's logos specifically for that. So definitely,
there's a fantastic branding guidelines portal. All of that,
super useful. Check it if you have any questions about how we use our trademarks on things, because a lot of our customers end up using that logo on their stuff. It's normal. Yeah.
So that's Alexa Custom Assistant. So then, switching gears, the counterpart or complementary part is Alexa Smart Properties. And so the way that I think about Alexa Smart Properties is almost like a fleet management solution for Alexa devices and voice-driven experiences at scale. So, I mean, think about Amanda, you yourself in your home. I know certainly in my home, probably in most of the people's homes that are watching today, with the 5, 10, 20 Alexa devices you have in your house, how challenging it might be to manage all those devices at scale, to make one change and have it propagate across all of them. If you bought all of them at the exact same time, like what a pain, how tedious it would be to go and one by one kind of set all of them up. And so Alexa Smart Properties does all of that at much broader scale than you would possibly have as an individual. For healthcare facilities like hospitals, senior living facilities, as well as hospitality properties like resorts, casinos, hotels. So that's on the order of, hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of rooms in one of these locations. And it's still the Alexa experience that people know and love. But imagine I go into a hospital and they have an Echo device in my room. I'm not going to want to sign into the device, right? There's a lot of HIPAA protected conversations that might be going on. What happens if I forget to sign out of the device? And so in any of these properties, any of the devices that are managed under Alexa Smart Properties, it's a totally anonymous experience. You actually can't sign into the devices. It still uses the same underlying technology that Alexa does, but locks down at a firmware level some of the functionality to make it anonymous, to make it where there's 0-day retention of the data, to make it so that users, can only have so much control over the capabilities of the device, sort of, again, managed by whatever the property is. Provide some, detailed analytics far greater than what you as just a skill developer or device manufacturer might have, to make sure that you can in the future kind of continue to evolve whatever capability you're providing them, and gives you, then an easy way to make sure that you can have some of these similar kinds of enterprise benefits to the other solutions. So So think about in a hotel room, for example, some of the things that might be useful for them. Again, making sure that I can reduce the number of calls to the front desk or to the to a staff member, which reduces costs, but also provides some customer experience benefits, right? And it's less frustrating for me just to say, hey, I need some more towels, than to have to pick up the phone and wait online and controlling things like all around me. If I'm in a hospital bed, I broke my leg and I'm sitting in a hospital bed, I can't get up to pick up the remote to change the TV or to call my loved ones or call a doctor or lower the blinds because it's bright outside. But I can do all of that very naturally with my voice with a device that might be sitting at my bedside.
This looks so cozy. I love this idea of being able to order room service directly from you don't have to call the front desk. You don't have to have that negotiation with them. And it also mentions the translation, which is great because, so I had to order room service at a hotel in Mexico and my Spanish is only so. But if I can use the Alexa in English, maybe it would be a little bit easier, huh?
Yeah, I had the exact same experience in Barcelona a few months ago that the staff at the hotel where I was staying they spoke very good English. Still a challenge for me to communicate what specific things I wanted for room service.
Yeah.
And something like this, like it eliminates that language barrier. Me speaking to the device understands my English. It can send whatever kind of commands or interactions to the existing backends that they already have in the native language that they already speak. It drastically streamlines that interaction.
And the easy checkout and everything. It seems like a really, really good for, like you said, both the hotels and for hospitals. And I think they also do senior living as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And there are like in senior living facilities, one big driver of staff member activity, something that takes up a great deal of staff members' time every day is checking in on all of the residents. Physically going to each room to make sure that person in each room is okay, that that they're awake, that they've eaten breakfast, any of those kinds of things. And some senior living facilities have a button you can hit. Some of them actually have a little placard that you kind of flip outside of the door. But something like this, I don't have to physically leave my station. I can look at the analytics and see, okay, Susie said, good morning, Alexa. Like she checked in, everything's fine. Johnny, has not checked. And so rather than wait the half hour it would take for me to get around to everybody, I can go directly to that person, provide better care, more personalized care, all while delivering some business benefits and, resident, patient, guest benefits as well.
Really cool. Really cool.
I think we talked about all these things. Yeah, I mean, similar to ASP, or similar to ACA, we see some key benefits like engaging your customers, if it's a resident or a patient or a guest, with all the things that your property has to offer, making sure that your staff can operate as efficiently and with as little frustration as possible. And then differentiating your particular brand from other brands that might be in an otherwise competitive space. And so I'll share a couple ASP links as well. One really neat other innovator series video. Jeff actually did this one at the beginning of the year, is with the Ascot Racecourse, which is an awesome video. I highly recommend everybody watch it. It's a horse racing course in the UK, and they have these. You can actually see some of them there in these pictures. They have these very fancy booths that you can rent for watching the horse races, and they leveraged Alexa Smart Properties and saw in the boxes and the booths that they offer, which most of them are not full-time catered, full-time staffed. Right. Most of the time you have to pick up a phone and say, hey, I want to order some food. And you wait 5 minutes, the person comes up and gets your food, gets your order, and then they go back. And so they saw just by integrating Alexa and Alexa Smart Properties almost double the per box spend which is, I mean, is extraordinary, as well
Yeah,
as then
that
a
is.
drastic reduction in how long it takes to actually get people the food that
Right.
they want. And
Right.
yeah, and it's just just fascinating, the benefits that they get. Ascot is also, much like many of these, much like many of the hospitality brands, healthcare brands, senior living brands, they do have a lot of tech, but they're not a voice company. They're not a skill building company. And so most engagements today with Alexa Smart Properties are delivered through this network of what we call solution providers. So you can think, big agencies that hyper specialize in one or more of these kind of verticals, and really partner with the company to make sure that they can deliver something that works really well as quickly as possible, and further streamline the effort that they would need to embrace the technology.
Cool. It's really neat. Gosh, I wish that would work in like regular stadiums, but they're always so loud. So, but in the boxes, perfect use, right? Good use.
Yeah, in the box, it's great. And if there are any stadiums that want to figure out how to make it work elsewhere in the stadium, definitely reach out to us.
Yeah, ask. If anybody knows anybody who works at the stadiums, comment on YouTube. Using an ICP smart contract canister backend instead of a database greatly expands on the capability of these types of skills. I don't know. I don't know if you could speak to what the backend is on these right now, but I think it's database stuff.
It is. Yeah, I mean, it's the same. Well, I guess for Alexa, right? For Alexa, it's the same for the one-party experiences, and then the way that your skill interacts with the Alexa voice service. It's all the traditional existing technology that you have. That said, as the folks out there know, when you build a skill, you have a whole heck of a lot of control over how you build the actual functionality, how you build the logic that actually does something when you get a response from the Alexa voice service that says, okay, this is the intent and these are the slots. So you could, Matthew, to your point, you could certainly use some other kind of backend for the fulfillment logic, that then would support the skill. And with these, I mean, with Disney, with Ascot, with all of them, a key thing is obviously integrating with the backend systems they're already using. Like with Ascot, for me to be able to order food, or Disney, if I say, hey, I need a restaurant reservation at 3 p.m. And then for Disney to know, okay, they have 2 adults, 2 children in the room, and they said that they like this particular kind of food in their Disney account or something. Like, for them to be able to do that, it needs to connect with their property management system.
And I'd imagine, I don't have any insider knowledge here at all, but I'd imagine with some of these bigger systems, like say you're, this is just me saying, like, say you're driving Disney World, I'd imagine that system is pretty complex and pretty entrenched, right? Like maybe you don't want to rip the whole thing out. You want to,
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah, right. I mean, some parts of that park have been there since it opened, and I think the computers kind of get layered on top of everything as the technology evolves. So in a lot of cases with big systems, there's something under the hood that's been working really well for a really long time that nobody wants to tip over the apple cart and readjust, right?
Yeah, it's one of my first jobs was working for a company called Borland that many people may remember from the early days of Turbo C and Turbo Pascal. Okay. Borland's parent company owns COBOL, the programming language. And there's a reason why COBOL is still the most used programming language. The most by applications that are built with COBOL are the most used in the world, because it underpins tons of banking. It underpins every ATM that you interact with. And anybody who's worked with COBOL knows that it's not nearly as fun to program in as a modern programming language.
Not the most friendly, but was very groundbreaking at the time.
Oh, sure.
Worked its way into everything.
40 years ago or something.
Yeah. I mean, I have to have a soft spot for that, because that's Grace Hopper's team that did COBOL.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's actually really intertwined with not just the history of computing, but the history of natural language processing and how we understand typing regular words into a computer and having regular words come back out again. COBOL was like on the forefront of that. So yeah, it's everywhere, right? It's all tied.
It's everywhere. So I've got some.
Perfect.
Yeah, I'll paste these quotes in, or I'll paste these links in the chat. People are interested in seeing some of the longer and more interesting videos about some of the stuff that they're doing over in ACA and ASP.
I did put the Raceway one up already. So we've got a few of those in the chat already for the folks to check out. And I put out the Disney one up as well. So if you haven't had a chance to watch those links, maybe after the show, browse through those. There's a lot of really cool info. And those are really slick videos.
Yeah. The team does an amazing job.
So,
and yeah, I mean, certainly, if people have, I'm very easily accessible on, Twitter, LinkedIn, email.
Oh, yeah.
If people have more questions, I talk about this stuff all day long, so I'm always happy to have more conversations about it.
That's a good segue. Although I do want to ask you 4 more questions. We're not done yet, but I do want to know, how can people reach out to you if they do have questions? What's the easiest way? Twitter?
Yeah, Twitter. My Twitter handle is just my first and last name, so Emerson Sklar. LinkedIn, my LinkedIn URL is also my first and last name. Or email as well. If people want to send me an email, my email is ESKLAR, first initial, last name, at Amazon. And so yeah, happy to have more conversations about any of this, as well as if with not just ACA and ASP, but any of the parts of the Amazon, the Alexa Enterprise solution portfolio, or broader kind of Alexa organization. If people are looking for information, introductions, happy to connect.
Awesome. So for folks out there who are doing voice development, what are your recommendations? You kind of have some general tips and hints and things that are good for them to know.
Yeah. So I think we've gotten past a point where for large brands, for enterprises at least, where they're doing sort of science experiments. Like in the early days of Alexa, and it was fascinating and really exciting to see, but people were doing lots of interesting innovation, but not thinking about what the potential business impact would be. And so I think that's a shift that I've certainly seen over the last 3 years or so, but see accelerating even more and more. And so one recommendation would certainly be to try and figure out, what way is this going to impact the brand? And I like those sort of 3 pillars, I guess 4 if you meld ACA and ASP. I like those pillars of enterprise impact, of impacting the customer experience. And we know that improving customer experience is going to increase the likelihood that they're going to continue to do business with you in the future. Finding operational efficiencies, which is especially useful in customer service realm. We're finding opportunities to drive additional revenue generation or additional monetization, even if it's not solely kind of in skill monetization, even if it is driving people to the traditional channels. I think that's critical for long-term success of voice initiatives at enterprises. I think the other one, and I've been saying this for years, and I think it still very much holds true, is starting small and figuring out how to do something small really, really well, and using that to demonstrate success. That I do see some, especially again at enterprises, where they'll try to make this kind of like sci-fi futuristic be all end all capability, which like is interesting, but not not totally achievable for many brands. And so they'll like lock a handful of developers in a conference room for 6 months and say, go do this. And then they come out and they release it, and it doesn't do very well in the market. And then executives are like, oh, that's obviously this is not worth investing in more. And it's kind of like a vicious cycle. And so I think that starting small with something that is actually going to matter to your customers and using that to demonstrate success and grow from there, I think is especially for companies that are new to voice development is critical.
Yeah, and that's definitely a lesson that we can apply to even the smaller scale developers out there. Don't try to maybe make the most elaborate thing when you're first starting out. It's better to make something that small, that works, that suits the needs of the people that you're making it for. And then as time goes on, you can expand that into bigger skills and bigger projects, depending on what the reception is to what you've initially launched, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So we have about 15 minutes left. Thank you for posting all those other links in the YouTube chat. You got those. I think I posted most of them up on the group chat. So if you're on Twitch, you should see some different links from different folks out there.
I'm gonna repost the healthcare one because
okay, it got cut off. Yeah, and that's on our YouTube. Like all of these are.
Yeah, you're right.
YouTube.
Yeah, all of them are up there.
So if you're already watching us on YouTube, you can probably see the different menu down below. Just explore some of that stuff. We have some really, like I said, really well produced, slick videos. This is just us talking, but there's so many videos that they do like these really cool drone shots and everything in them, and it's really neat to see those. So really fun.
But stay tuned for more, of course.
Yeah, I was going to say, in our last few minutes here, I know you can't always talk about what you're working on, but anything else that's like a big standout project that's been fun for you recently, or that's in the pipeline for you, if you feel like you can discuss.
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say that yeah, so not necessarily things that we can talk about explicitly, but I would say as somebody who has been a fan of Alexa as an end user and kind of a nerdy fan of the technology and a fan of what people are doing, and has worked with Alexa, with a ton of different Alexa teams for a number of years, I am excited and fascinated every day at the crazy sci-fi stuff that the teams do here. There are so many incredibly brilliant people that are so passionate and are doing stuff that even a year ago would seem impossible. So it's a really great time to be in voice, a really great time to be in Alexa. And I think when the world starts seeing some of the cool sci-fi that the teams are working on now, they're going to be just amazed.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see what your teams are working on. I think there's going to be some really cool use cases for some different applications and different skills and different companies, which I hope to see posted up. And I think anytime we have something super cool to show off, we'll probably do a little video, or at least we'll bring somebody in office hours to talk about it. So maybe we'll have you on again, in a few months, and we can talk about what's next for everybody out there.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Great. I think that brings me to the end of my prepared questions. So if you have anything else you want to chat about, now's the time. We don't see a lot of questions from chat today. I think we did a really good job covering all that info, and everybody's going to digest all those videos we just shared. So
yeah, I would say while we're waiting for people to post, I don't know how many of you out there have an Astro.
Oh yeah,
that is one of not yet. That is one of my favorite of the Alexa enabled devices. I have a 2-year-old, almost 2-year-old, who Astro is like one of her best friends. And I think my engagement with Alexa because of Astro has probably doubled on a daily basis, because all day long she chases Astro, Astro chases her. She wants it to dance and beatbox, and we use it to, video call my parents and have the little periscope camera kind of follow us around and keep us in frame. She can't yet say the wake word accurately enough for it to actually wake up, so she needs somebody else to say it. But yeah, just a delightful, silly little device.
Total personal question. Is it a good thing when she can use the wake word, or will it be a bad thing because she'll be doing it all of the time?
Well, she knows that we say Astro to wake it up, and she knows that we say Alexa, and I also have Nest Hub devices, so we say Google sometimes, and she tries to say it. So when she can say it, it'll probably be good, because then like I can hear her in the background yelling at Astro. And so it'll probably be good, because then somebody doesn't have to go, and one of us doesn't have to go and do it. It will probably drastically skew the Astro analytics, because all day long she's going to be having it dance and beatbox.
But that's what it's for. My dog has been begging for an Astro from LinkedIn. My dog was begging for an Astro. Please help my dog get. I think they would get along really well with dogs. You know, this is going to date me a little bit, but we used to have one of those really old digital pets when I was a kid, and it just rolled around and yeah, they've had those for a while, but never Alexa enabled before. That's the exciting part of Astro. Can do a lot with it.
Yeah, my dogs love it, except for when we have it act like a cat or act like a dog. The other animals, they don't mind. Act like a dog or act like a cat, they get very excited.
So you make it bark at the other dogs?
It barks or meows, or
oh my gosh.
And it actually, because it has the kind of emoji face, so it does some actually very accurate sort of dog eye motions. I think it has a tongue that it sticks out, and like the cat one kind of has cat eyes.
Oh, cute.
It's neat. My dogs are a little too interested in it, perhaps, when it does that.
Following it around everywhere, it's sniffing on it. I have cats, and they need an Astro to keep them out of trouble. Yeah, that would be it. Just have them chase the cats around while you're out of the house. So if anything gets knocked, if anybody knocks over the plant or something, then you know which of the cats did it. You know.
It is useful to be able to. You can remote control it. You can do live view, and then it'll pop up the periscope camera, and then you can sort of drive it around if you hear glass breaking or.
Want to confirm that you turned the oven off after you left the house, and you got that paranoia when you're 2 miles down the street and go, wait a second, did I turn the iron off today? Cool. Well, there's lots of it's interesting to see like what the future of our homes is going to be. I know how much having like all the Alexa devices has really changed even my daily routine. When you get up in the morning and it says good morning to you, and you go through so it's going to be interesting to see what the future is going to hold for all these integrations, and so excited to have you on the show to talk about it. So thanks a lot for being on the show today. I think we're going to call it now. Folks, next week, same time, same channel, we'll be doing another office hours show. So appreciate you all for coming by today. If you do have any questions that we can't answer on this format, stop by our Alexa Slack. I'll put that up on the screen one more time. I know I've seen new people join the Slack all the time, alexadesign.design/Slack. And we've got the folks at DAG Team to help out there as well. So thanks so much for coming by today. And we will see you next time on Developer Office Hours.
Have a great day.